It is all about the EAGLES Eagles here on Birds 365. No Mac and Mac today. John McMullen already down there with the Birds as they get ready for their first practice of the year. So here, lending a helping hand is our buddy. You got your mornings before us here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel with the Farzy Show, Mark Farzetta. Farzy, are you ready to get back to work with the Birds?
I am ready to get back to work with the Birds as our friend John McMullen is already literally at work with the Birds right now. I'm excited. I think it's because the way last year ended. I think it's because of the huge leap forward with Jalen Hurts last year, and obviously Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman seem to know what they're doing as well. I can't remember a time where I was this excited outside of the year after they won the Super Bowl. So I am pretty amped up for this Eagles season and ready to see what Jalen Hurts can do, because I know we're going to get into this, but for the people that doubt Jalen Hurts and the people that are slighting him and not saying he's top 5 guy, top 10 guy, whatever it might be, I just think the guy needs to do it again. Just needs to keep on doing it, and hopefully that longevity and that success will start to make people around the league and around the the media world around the country really start to pay attention to Jalen Hurts.
All right, Farzy went somewhere that we have not done much here on the show, and that's perfectly fine with me. Jalen Hurts has become more of a given here in Philadelphia. There might be a couple of national outlets that aren't giving him quite the props that we think here in Philadelphia he deserves. But we talk about Jalen Hurts less than certainly than Jalen Hurts going into last year, Jalen Hurts the year before. What do you mean they're going to trade Carson Wentz? He's like a given off the season that he had last year that everyone expects him to come back and play at that same level again. Are we overestimating what Jalen Hurts can do?
I don't think so, because I think we've all already went there. We've already gone there in our heads. Like, okay, all right, hold on a second. We were really amped up about Carson Wentz and how great he was going to be, and he was going to be our guy for 10, 15 years. It was going to be incredible. Why aren't we more shy about Jalen Hurts being what we just went through with the Carson Wentz saga? And that's because I think when we look at Jalen Hurts, we look at a totally different quarterback. We look at a totally different mental makeup. I mean, you look at the things that were said about him going into the last offseason. I mean, how many times did we talk about it last year? Is he the guy? It became a punchline with Jalen Hurts. And he took that and at times literally ran with it, and then obviously threw pretty well with it as well. The tremendous leap forward from last year, from his first year as a starter to his second year as a starter, I can't think of anyone in any Philadelphia sport that has had that huge leap from year one as a starter to year two as a starter. I mean, you're talking about a guy makes second team All-Pro, a guy obviously is finishing second in the MVP voting, a guy had already led his team to the playoffs in his first year as a starter, and then obviously takes him through the whole season into the Super Bowl last year. I mean, this is remarkable what we're talking about now. So we're talking about him now, not only taking another leap forward, but also think about this. Taking another leap forward, knowing that you're going to have A.J. Brown going into the season, knowing you're going to have Devontae Smith going into the season, having a battle and having it be a conversation as to who your third wide receiver is going to be in all this. And then you're also looking at the running back room behind this offensive line. I mean, if you're very confident in this Philadelphia Eagles team, I won't use the term overconfident, but if you're very confident that they're going to be the first back-to-back NFC champions at least, NFC East champions at least, to make the playoffs for, the first time in almost 20 years.
Yep.
Well, you got a lot of cause for that confidence, because I think you're right on point, and I don't think that's being a homer. I think that is looking at what you have, knowing what you have, and realizing that what else is around the NFC and the NFC East, not a whole lot of competition on paper at this point going into the season for the Eagles, so at least have a good road back to the Super Bowl.
And opinions are like noses. I could say something else, but I'll stick with noses.
Well,
Everybody has one, but that's all it is. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everyone had opinions of Jalen Hurts before last year, and now they have it as to where he would rank, how many quarterbacks are better than how many. Even if you liked him going into last year, you probably had him in the second half of the league. At highest, 17, 18, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah.
Those people probably have him 2, 3, or 4 in this year's rankings. Last year, a whole bunch of people had him in the 20s, and those are the ones that they're holding out that don't want to crack the top 5 with Jalen just yet. The amount that he increased, the jump that he made between year 1 and year 2 is as big as any I've seen in the league. Not about just the Eagles. I'm talking across the league, the jump that he made from a given year to a second year. And that's why I think people are just like, yeah, and Jalen. And Jalen's going to be quarter. And Jalen's going to win games. And Jalen's going to be perfectly fine. And Jalen's lead. I think he kind of earned and merited that with the jump up that he made last year.
You know what? I want to ask you something specifically about Jalen Hurts in a second, but think about this for a second, Jody. You have probably, I have probably, all of us, we have probably mentioned the name Tyler Steen more than we have mentioned the name Jalen Hurts this offseason. Because we're talking about a right guard competition potentially going on with this team. I mean, there's other questions, Reed Blankenship, the safety position, Terrell Edmonds, and all that stuff. But let me ask you this one question. In regards to Jalen Hurts, obviously huge leap forward. We've acknowledged that. We've all talked about it. If Jalen Hurts is looking in the mirror, what are things you think, not accolades like, okay, well, instead of being a runner-up to the MVP, win the MVP. Instead of, finishing second and losing the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. Aside from accolades, overall accomplishments, when you look at his game, what do you think he's looking in the mirror saying he needs to improve upon? Because we talked about the deep ball last year. We talked about maybe not running as much, all that stuff. We talked about reading defenses. I think he did all those things. I mean, he still ran, but in terms of reading the defense, he improved upon. The deep ball improved upon. What nitpicky thing? And we've acknowledged how great he is, so this isn't a hate on Jalen Hurts, question. But what do you think he's looking in the mirror saying to himself, okay, this is the thing. If I got to specifically talk about something to get better at, what do you think that is?
I don't think it's nitpicky. And I think Eagle fans will absolutely love this when I say it, if I'm right. And it's the main thing that's running through Jalen's head. I think it's a really good thing that the Eagles are opening up the season in New England on Tom Brady Day, which makes it the toughest ticket to get in the National Football League this year. The prices are the lowest ticket is over $300 on the open market as of right now. The Patriot fans are ready to come out in mass and do right by the GOAT that was Tom Brady when he was in New England. I think that the Eagle quarterback gets motivated by that. I think he sees what Tom Brady gets, the kind of treatment he's going to get because he became the greatest of all time. And he did so because he won 6 Super Bowls in New England, then went and got a 7th one in Tampa. But that's what I think is going to be his motivational factor. It's all going to be about winning the Super Bowl because he's already done. He put up the good stats, shocked the world by moving up as quickly as he did, fly in the face of those who said, you can't improve accuracy. Oh, yeah, you can. He's already checked a whole bunch of boxes, but you got to start winning Super Bowls. And that's exactly, if you're an Eagle fan, that's exactly the attitude you want out of your quarterback going into the year this year.
And I think when the national people that we referenced earlier are looking at Jalen Hurts, I really think the only thing he needs to do is to do it again. And I say only, like it's easy to, compete for an MVP or Super Bowl, whatever. But, I mean, you look at a guy like Joe Burrow. He's also been to a Super Bowl. He unfortunately also lost. He's got a pretty great receiving core as well. He's got a pretty great offense there. But when you look at this team, I mean, not the great offensive line that Jalen Hurts has, but I think a lot of people, when they look at those two, they look at them as very comparable as far as what they've been able to accomplish already in their careers. But I think it's just a matter of longevity with Jalen Hurts. I think it's a matter of Jalen Hurts going out there, doing it every day, not missing games. And if there's one thing in particular that I think he also needs to do in order to catch that, more national respect, or I'll just call it national acknowledgement for who he really is as a quarterback, I think it's more point guard. And that's using the guys out of the backfield like DeAndre Swift this upcoming season, seeing what Kenny Gainwell can do, seeing if Rashad Penny can stay healthy, having a guy like Dallas Goedert as a pretty good tight end there, and also Devontae Smith and obviously A.J. Brown. But playing more of that point guard in a role that you won't have to see him run as much. And I am not someone that says, screams from the mountaintop, stay in the pocket. No. I don't want to sacrifice the talent that he has outside the pocket and his playmaking ability. But if that shovel pass is there, or if that, toss is there, or if the read option, if there's an opportunity where he does hand it off and doesn't have to keep it, take more advantage of those opportunities. If it presents itself, take it. That's what makes you so great, that versatility. But I think getting rid of the football a little bit more often, I think that will obviously help him stay on the field longer, be healthy throughout the entire season. And I think that's something that the Eagles will really be able to have a lot of fun with when they're seeing him play more of that point guard role.
I expect the run in RPO percentage to be up this year because I think Swift and Penny have a chance to both be very good running the football. So I think you're going to get your wish there. Here's one where Johnny Mack and I agree. We don't agree on everything, but we agree on this one. I just don't foresee the Eagles throwing the ball to the back out of the backfield all that much. There's a reason they didn't do it the last year, because if AJ's not open and Smitty's not open, Jalen takes off. He's ready to go. The check down, the toss to the running back out of the backfield is usually your third and or fourth option. Jalen doesn't get that far. Jalen's going to go if the pressure's coming and his first two superstar wide receivers, all right, maybe he'll give the tight end a look. If they're not there, he's not getting option 4. So I do not think, despite the fact that Swift has put up good numbers as a pass receiver for the Lions, all of a sudden that's going to become a major weapon and a part of the Eagles offense. I think Jalen's going to continue to try and tap into his superpower and take off and make plays with his leg. That I think is still going to be a pretty big part, if not a staple, of the Eagle offense. You asked me about nitpicking. Here's one where I might be nitpicking, and it's not what Jalen can improve on, but it's a worry for me during this offseason.
Okay.
You have that massive jump up from the 21st ranked quarterback to the 4th ranked quarterback. Nobody moves that much in 1 year. Jalen did. He was the MVP until he got his shoulder fallen on down in Chicago during the season. So that was a hell of an accomplishment. He actually, you can make the argument, outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. If they win the game, he's the guaranteed MVP. But he had a phenomenal game. Here's my one slight concern, and I hope it doesn't manifest itself at all. He probably this offseason was pulled in a lot of directions.
Ooh, the banquet circuit.
And the banquet, the commercial, the feature, the show up for this and charity that. And Jalen is such a good person, period, and not a jerk and not an ego guy, that he probably said yes a lot. And they're probably going to still continue to come his way as far as requests. Shoot, I was listening to WIP the other day, and they said Jalen was in signing footballs, doing some sales work, the broadcast outlet of the Eagles. He's going to be asked to do a lot. His management team, the Eagles, everything else. Is there any chance that Jalen just gets a little too well spread heading into the season and maybe even carrying over into the season because of the massive leap that his career made last year?
Not to cross sports, but you could probably get this because I think this is our, the sport you and I spend the most time thinking about. There's one name that comes to mind when I think about the banquet tour. Do you know who that name is?
No.
Cole Hambles.
Okay. I see where you're going.
The one thing I'll say about Jalen Hurts, I don't know if this guy knows what a distraction is. And that is going to sound it's like such a fanboy statement to make, but like, and it's funny saying this because the last time I saw him was at a banquet, and all he wanted to talk about was football. That's the gear, man. That's the one gear. Everything you talk about with him goes back to football. You can try talking about other things, goes right back to football. This guy just has a focus, and I really mean that. I forget the exact words from Jeffrey Lurie, but it was right before the Jalen Hurts contract got announced. And Jeffrey Lurie was addressing the media, and he was talking about Jalen Hurts'
He said he's the most mature 24-year-old he's ever met. I know that was a quote from
him. Yeah. But no, this was something that was so profound. I think I'm still wrapping my head around it. A phenomenal dedication to perfection. And like, if you have an athlete in your city, especially a city like Philadelphia, okay, especially a city that has football on such a high pedestal and has that quarterback position as the most important position in all of Philadelphia sports, that guy, you want that said about your guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not, I mean, there's one, like, what's he going to say? I mean, there's things along the line of, oh, yeah, he's working really hard and, he really wants to bring the city a championship. And there's the script that every owner reads about their quarterback. But to say that, like, I don't think anything ever has been said about an athlete in this city better than that. And especially a young athlete in this city. And that's why when you look at the contract, which I know Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson, that's all happened since. But when you look at the contract for Jalen Hurts, I can't think of any athlete, and I know Bryce Harper's there, but he was more of a proven commodity when he signed his huge deal here. But when you look at specifically Jalen Hurts, and you look at the situation he's in, young quarterback taking the huge leap into the second year as a starter and all that, I don't know if there's ever been money handed to a young athlete with less on his resume in terms of like winning a Super Bowl or winning an MVP yet. Giving him that money and me feeling totally confident that that was 1,000 billion% the right move to make at the time. And it is and will be proven right consistently with him as your quarterback. So I look at that statement by Jeffrey Lurie and I think, oh, that's not just saying something nice about the guy who's going to be your signal caller. That's the guy you're hoping is around here for 10 to 15 years.
And speaking of handing out that money by Jeff Lurie, I said this 4 months ago, whenever the deal came down. The Baltimore Ravens should thank Jeff Lurie and Jalen Hurts for getting the deal done, because then they immediately get Lamar Jackson done for this much more. Yeah. And now they can get a thank you note from the Los Angeles Chargers as well, because Justin Herbert is signed and he got this much more than Lamar. Hurts set the bar. Mm-hmm. And then the next guy's got to get just slightly more. The next guy's going to get just slightly more. Burrow might be going for more than just slightly more.
Yeah,
he's the one guy left who's got to get a contract done, and that could end up being difficult for the Chargers. Mark Farzetta in for John McMullen here with me on Birds 365 today. We just spent 20 minutes talking about Jalen Hurts, which I don't know we've done continuously on the show here for months, which I appreciated. Want to talk about the guy who's going to be first front and center today next. That would be the head coach, Nick Sirianni. He will meet with the assembled media about a half an hour from now before the Eagles practice gets underway. How is Sirianni going to come into the year where the Eagles are defending their NFC championship? I'll talk about that next with Mark Farzetta filling in for Johnny Mack here on Birds 365.